Afternoon and good evening to all. Myself Vaibhav. I welcome all of you to today's session of Visual JForex, in which we will be working with a new indicator. The name of the indicator is Parabolic SAR extended. This is a little modified version of the prior indicator which we had used in the last session. In this setup, we will have a more smoother version of the trend signals. So this is kind of, you can say, a refinement of sort on the SAR, and you will see that unless there is significant reversal in the price momentum, we don't really see the directional changes happening on the SAR extended output. So that is why this is more preferred compared to the parabolic SAR. And for this, we will be modifying our strategy a bit. We will be looking for a setup where we will be going for a entry on the market price. So I will introduce you to this indicator, which you can find listed amongst the other indicators here just below the SAR, SAR extended, stop and reverse, parabolic stop and reverse extended. That's the full form of this indicator block. And we have a lot more input values to define to get this desired output value. And in this session, we will not be going into the functional aspects of these the explanatory aspects of this indicator. We will be more concerned with the functional aspects of it. So for finding out how it is derived, how these values are calculated, you will have to do a Google search, or you can refer to the prior session which I had done in the introductory series. This session is going to be dedicated more to the functional uses of this indicator block, how we can define a logical formation where we can optimize the entry and exit according to the trend which will be derived using these indicator values. So we have to define these input parameters, including the default instrument, candle period, the loopback period, and the start value, and offset, on reverse, acceleration, integer long, acceleration max long, and acceleration initiation short. So all these values have to be looked into. But for us, we are more concerned with the functional aspect, as I said. So we will only tinker with these three values, and we will leave all these values as per the default setup. So we are not going to carry out any changes in these parameters. Only these first three input parameters are what we are going to be working with. The candle period will be changed to hourly. So I will change it. We will be working on the hourly time frame. And prior to making any changes in the loopback period, I will explain to you the logic of the formation. This is a simple formation. We want to rely on the SAR extended output values and take the trade then and there as the formation changes, as we have the higher confidence on the ability of SAR extended output to give us good entry and exit points. But as is the case with any indicator, it will have its moments where there is no clarity in the market, and we might indeed end up in a situation where many false signals can be generated even after all these improvements, refinements that have been done compared to the parabolic SAR. So we do have to keep that in mind. And this time around, instead of going for a entry on the lower side, we will go for the entry then and there, but we will put in a condition that for any trade to take place in the last hour, there should have been significant movement, good enough movement, and that should have been sustained. And after that, whatever is the last hour's volatility, taking that into mind, we will place the stop loss and take profit. So lot will be dependent on how the last hour candle close had happened, how much volatility was there. So for any buy trade to happen, we need the momentum to be sustained in the last hour, and we are not really seeing that happening here. Even in this candle, we saw that the closing value actually was lower than the opening price, and we need the closing value for the buy trade to happen to be on the higher side. So here we have this situation where we have the closing value on the higher side, but it is not good enough. We also need the last hour's closing output to be greater than the second last hour's SAR extended output value. So that is not the case here, so no trade will take place. So again we go back in time. This is not really the time to go for a new trade. So here is the moment where we do have this output value with significant price rise, and it is also closing on the higher side above these prior hours SAR output, SAR extended output, and we will add a condition that there should be good enough difference between the opening and the closing price. For Euro USD, I think 15 pips is a good enough. So this is an arbitrary number. You can say that this is derived using my observations. So if you feel like, you can take any other number, say 10 pips, 20 pips, 30 pips, whatever suits your requirements. So for example only, I'm taking 15 pips as a value. There is nothing specific, nothing extraordinary about it. Okay, so we will look for a difference of the 15 pips at least between the last hour's opening price and last hour's closing price, and to make sure that we don't really end up buying on the higher side after too much of a move has happened. We will also put a cap that this closing and opening difference should not be more than 30 pips. So it should be within the range of 15 to 30 pips. All right, and then we will go for a market order. So whatever is the actual difference between these opening and closing value, we will keep it as a stop loss, and twice of it will be kept as a take profit. So that's how this formation is going to work with a buy trade. For sell trade, we have to reverse the condition. We need the last hour's closing output to be lower compared to the opening price, and it needs to be lower compared to the prior hour's SAR extended output. And here also we have to take into consideration the difference between the opening and closing value, and that range needs to be between 15 and 30 pips, and all these conditions are need to be in place for any trade execution to happen. So these are the requirements. Now let's implement this on the Visual JForex board. So first thing first, we have to do is get the instrument subscription done, and for that I'm going to need logical components here. All right. Now coming to default variables, I will take default instrument and match it with the candle instrument, as we are using on candle as the start point. Candle instrument in turn will be matched with the instrument of choice, which is Euro USD. So I have to find Euro USD amongst all these instruments. Sometimes it does get tough when I happen to overlook. Okay, here it is. The position amount needs to be 0. Now we need SAR extension, SAR extended value for last hourly candle as well as the second last hourly candle. So I will assign a look back period of 1 here, and we take one more of the SAR extended indicator block. Here it is. Look back period of hourly and sorry, the candle period of hourly and look back period of 1. No, not 1, 2. All right. Now we also need the info candle to look at the last hour's price volatility. So I will take this get historical candle and we are going to need two of the 10-second candles. So two more of this. Default period will be changed to 1 hour. This will be changed to 10 seconds. And the look back period will be 1 for this. 1 here. Two. All right. Now to define the requirements of certain pips, we have to get the calculation done, which I think we should do it in the next session. So for the day we stop here. So that's it from my side for today's session. I hope you have been able to understand the logical as well as the execution part of these algorithms so far involving the parabolic SAR extended indicator. So thank you all for joining in. For further coverage of the market developments, do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there. For carrying out the testing on the historical data, you will need the assistance of the JForex platform. So all these useful links have been provided in the bio. Thank you all for joining in. See you next time around. Till then, goodbye.